Well, friends, today I'm here in the Nitesh Mehra and Associates Law Office YouTube channel. The topic which today I'm going to speak is amongst the most debated and the heated topic nowadays. That's contempt of court. So this particular topic of contempt of court has recently been gained the eyes and the voice of many, being it the bar or the bench. The allegations, the reversals, the judgments, and the points have been put forth by both the sides to tell that what is contempt of court. So, the most important case which is right now in the news is the Prashant Bhushan case, wherein the Supreme Court has held the veteran advocate guilty of contempt of court. So today, I, by way of one small PPT, would explain you that what has all happened, what were the allegations, what was the contempt, and what the Supreme Court said over the period of time, and how this law is now devolving upon. Now that Justice Arun Mishra, who has now demitted his office, was the author of this order whereby the Prashant Bhushan has been held guilty. So, not wasting any further time, I'm sharing you a small PPT on this subject. It's Prashant Bhushan contempt case. Hopefully, it is visible to all of you. So, what I will be dealing in this, the Prashant Bhushan contempt case, as well as the contempt of court, the provisions in the analysis. So let us see what is this. Contempt of court, Prashant Bhushan versus Supreme Court. So what has happened in this case that the lawyer activist Prashant Bhushan was facing two contempt of court cases in the Supreme Court. The first contempt of court case related to 2009, and the second contempt of court relates to one social media tweet post of the Prashant Bhushan in the year 2020. The contempt of court cases against the Prashant Bhushan have set off in a debate over the freedom of expression as the fundamental right of an individual versus the freedom of judiciary to maintain the credibility in the larger public. So now, what was the 2009 case? Prashant Bhushan, in an interview in 2009, said 8 of the last 16 CJIs were corrupt. Abruptly, the statement was being made by him. A contempt court case was begun against the Prashant Bhushan and was heard before the bench, which was headed by Chief Justice of India, the then Shri S.H. Kapadia ji. In his interview, Prashant Bhushan had also made serious accusations against the CJI Kapadia, saying that he had heard a case involving the Sterlite company while he held shares in the company. During the hearing, Prashant Bhushan's father and the former Union Minister of Law, Shri Shanti Bhushan ji, sought to implicate himself as a party, saying that he has the evidence to back his son's allegation. While it raised the eyebrow of many, but Shanti Bhushan sir has filed a detailed affidavit in a sealed cover substantiating the charges which has been leveled by his son against the institution of the Supreme Court of India. Before the Supreme Court decided to resume the hearing in the case, the matter was last heard in the 2012. Now, what is the 2020 Twitter post of the Prashant Bhushan against the Supreme Court and the CJI? On July 2022, this year only, Supreme Court bench comprising of Justice Arun Mishra, B.R. Dave, Krishna Murari took suo motu cognizance of two tweets posted on social media Twitter by Advocate Prashant Bhushan and initiated contempt proceedings against him. Prashant Bhushan in a Twitter post said that the role of last 4 CJIs and the role of the Supreme Court must be examined in the destruction of democracy in the country. 2 days later, Prashant Bhushan questioned CJI S.A. Bobde over a photograph showing him on a bike. While on that photograph, many explanations came, but Bhushan said the CGI was riding a bike without wearing a helmet or mask while keeping the Supreme Court in lockdown mode, denying citizens their fundamental right to access justice. While that statement came in such a time when, under the COVID-19 situation, our highest institution has been taking all the steps whereby to deliver the justice at the doorstep, and for that purpose, the virtual hearings of the court has been started by the CGI and the bench comprising of him and the other committees so instituted for the same purpose. Later it emerged that CGI, who was spotted with Harley Davidson in Nagpur, was not riding the bike as some thought after the photograph went viral. Well, let us see that what were these two posts. So we have brought it for you to see. So you see that in the tweet it says the CGI rides a 50 lakh motorcycle belonging to a BJP leader at Raj Bhavan Nagpur without a mask or a helmet at a time, and the Supreme Court in a lockdown mode, denying citizens their fundamental right to access justice. So Bhushan's first tweets pertain to a picture of Chief Justice S.A. Bobde, in which he has seen in on a bike and motorcycle. When historians in future took back the last 6 years to see how democracy has been destroyed in India, even without a formal emergency, they will particularly mark the role of Supreme Court in the destruction, and more particularly the role of the last 4 seasons. While that was such a remark, which has to be heard upon the basic structure of the Supreme Court and the role and the opinion which Prashant Bhushan, the veteran advocate, gave, was in the context of the state of affairs of the country. So now what court said on all these? The court rejected the argument that the tweet has not really interfered with the administration of the justice. The court relied upon the judgment of Brahma Prakash Sharma versus State of Bihar of 1953, where a constitution bench held that it is not necessary to prove affirmatively that there has been actual interference with the administration of justice. And it is enough if a defamatory statement is likely or tends in any way to interfere with the proper administration of justice. Bench also relied upon the C.K. Dapatri versus O.P. Gupta judgment, in which the court has held that we are unable to agree with him that a spurious attack on a judge in respect of a judgment or past conduct has no adverse effect on the due administration of justice. This sort of attack in a country like ours has the inevitable effect of undermining the confidence of the public in the judiciary. So that's what court said. Now the second point which the court made out was with regard to the scandalizing of the court. The bench cited the Bharat Mishra of the 1974 judgment, in which the court had held that scandalizing the court is a species of contempt, and a common form is vilification of the judge. The question the court has to ask is whether the vilification of the judge as a judge or an individual, if the latter, the judge, is left to his private remedies, and the court has no power to commit for contempt. The bench held that fair criticism of judges, if made in good faith in public interest, is not contempt. The bench said that ascertaining good faith in the public interest, the courts have to see that the surrounding circumstances, including the person responsible for comments, his knowledge in the field, and the intended purpose. So now, what was the rationale behind the Supreme Court's verdict? Let us understand in the very few words which I have tried to put it for. The three-judge bench of Supreme Court on 14th of August 2020 made the following observation. It may be better in many cases for the judiciary to adopt a charitable attitude even when an utterly uncharitable and unfair criticism of its operations is made out of a bona fide concern for improvement. However, when there appears some scheme and design to bring about results which have the tendency of damaging the confidence in our judicial system and deed of demoralizing the judges of the highest court by making malicious attacks, those interested in maintaining the high standards of fearless, impartial, and unbending justice will have to stand firm. If such an attack is not dealt with the requisite degree of firmness, it may affect the nation's honor and prestige in the Committee of Nations. So now what has held after the Supreme Court has given this verdict on 14th of August 2020? The verdict, being against one of the veteran advocates of the country, has a widespread condemnation across the India. More than 3,000 former judges, retired bureaucrats, journalists, and lawyers signed a statement calling the judgment as a disproportionate response that would have a chilling effect on the people expressing critical views on the judiciary. Over 1,800 lawyers signed a statement challenging the ruling and calling it on the Supreme Court not to give effect to the judgment until a larger bench was able to review criminal contempt standards in the open court after pandemic restrictions are lifted. Opposition leaders and right groups have also criticized the judgment, including calling a contempt law of colonial legacy in need of reform. So now by this diagram, we have tried to build in the difference of civil and criminal contempt in a nutshell. Let us see what it says. Civil contempt is committed when someone willfully disobeys court's order or willfully breaches an undertaking given to the court. However, the criminal contempt means under section 2C of the Contempt of Court Act means any publication which scandalizes or tends to scandalize or lowers or tends to lower the authority of any court, prejudices or interferes or tends to interfere with the due course of any judicial proceedings, or interferes or tends to interfere with the obstructs or tends to obstruct the administration of justice in any other manner. So all these sub points which are here before you guys has been taken up by the Supreme Court while delivering the judgment of 14th of August 2020, whereby veteran advocate Prashant Bhushan has been held guilty of the criminal contempt. The punishment of contempt of court is simple imprisonment for a term of 6 months and a fine of rupees 2,000. So what does not amount to contempt of court, that is very necessary, being young law students, as a lawyers, or if I may, any civilian, they should understand that what does not actually amounts to court of not contempt of court. So it should be a fair and accurate reporting of judicial proceedings will not amount to contempt of court. Nor is any fair criticism on the merits of the judicial order after a case is heard and disposed of, which also does not amount to contempt of court. In the case of Prashant Bhushan, the Supreme Court held him guilty for his two tweets, which I have stated overset, and awarded him rupees 1 fine, that is, a token fine, which we say on 31st of August 2020, to be deposited by him till 15th of September, and in default to undergo 3 months imprisonment, and he shall be debarred from practice for 3 years if he not deposit such fine within the period of 3 months. However, the veteran lawyer on 20th of August 20 affirmed his comments and made a statement justifying his comments and showed dismay with the verdicts. So that was a big sign which has been shown by him that whatever I said, that I stood by it, and I'm not going to ask for any mercy in this case. Be that as it may, what we say is truth a defense for contempt of court. For many years, truth was seldom considered as a defense against a charge of contempt. There was an impression that the judiciary tended to hide any misconduct amongst its individual members in the name of protecting the image of the institution. The act was actually amended in 2006 to introduce the truth as a valid defense, if it was in the public interest and was invoked in a bona fide manner. So, why contempt of court is actually problematic? The object of contempt is stated to be safeguard the interests of the public. If the authority of the court is denigrated and public confidence in the administration of justice is weakened or eroded, but the definition of criminal contempt in India is extremely wide and can be easily invoked. Suo motu powers of the court to initiate such proceedings only serve to complicate the matters, which has actually happened in the present case. The judge himself acts as a prosecutor and the victim and starts with the presumption of the guilt rather than the innocence. So we all have heard that maxim that nobody shall be judged in his own cause. So in that view, this has been said that when the contempt proceedings are being taken up, then the judge themselves are the prosecutors, they are themselves as the victims, and they start with the presumption that there is a guilt of, uh, conviction rather if we say the innocence. Contempt proceedings are quasi-criminal proceedings and are summary in nature. And excessively loose use of the test of loss of public confidence combined with the liberal exercise of suo motu powers can be very dangerous. For it can amount to the court signaling that it will not suffer any kind of a critical commentary about the institution at all, regardless of how evidently problematic its action may be. So what court says that what they have done, they have basically put in out in their judgments what their conscience say. So actually they say that there is no motive behind the judgment which has been passed by the court. So therefore, if somebody is trying to criticize any judgment, whether it may be of Supreme Court or of any High Court or that may be of a trial court, then he or she must keep in the mind that what actually he is trying to do. In that way, he is not scandalizing the image of the court. So the status of the contempt in other countries, we have to see with this also. Contempt has practically become obsolete in foreign democracies with jurisdiction recognizing that it is an archaic law designed for use in bygone era whose utility and necessity has longly vanished. Canada ties its test of contempt to real substantial and immediate dangers to the administration, whereas American courts also no longer use the law of contempt in response of the contempt on judges or legal. In England too, from where we have actually inherited the law on which we practice nowadays, or the contempt law, legal position has now evolved. After the celebrated Spycatcher judgment was delivered in the late 1980s by the House of Lords, the British tabloid The Daily Mirror published an upside-down photograph of the law lords with the caption, "You old fools," refusing to initiate contempt action against the newspaper. One judge on the bench, Lord Templeton, reportedly said, "I cannot deny that I am old. It's the truth whether I am a fool or not. It's a matter of perception of someone else. There is no need to invoke the powers of contempt." So here we have seen that how firmly, humbly the position of law has been now developed and has been changing, and how the judges over the period of time in the different countries are dealing with such criticism. Even when in 2016 the Daily Mail ran a photo of three judges who issued the Brexit ruling with the caption, "Enemies of the people," which many considered excessive, the courts judiciously and sensibly ignored the story and did not commence the contempt proceedings. So, what the conclusion it actually turns out now? The question remains now, even though judgment has been delivered, whether the two tweets by the veteran Prashant Bhushan amount to scandalizing the court and lowering the dignity of the court, and that is now answered in the affirmative in that judgment and deemed to be heard by the Honorable Supreme Court of India while delivering that judgment by Justice Alok Mishra. The question that the bench really needs to address: when does criticism turn into contempt? That needs to be answered by the Supreme Court itself. Maybe in the upcoming year, when this judgment would be taken up in some other case, then there may be certain new rules, new interpretations which may come up, and then we will then drive that open court criticism or making such tweets which actually scandalize the image of the court, or it is fair criticism, or it tenders to lower down the image of the institution of the Supreme Court. It is the judiciary that needs to understand the importance of criticism of any judicial action and not to hold every such act as contempt of court by setting the norms for that in the judicial pronouncement. That is again for the court to see. We are just evolving out the conclusion on the pretext of what has been now delivered. The Indian Parliament actually should come forward, who are the makers, legislatures, and amend the Contempt of Court Act to bring into line with international human rights standards, that what can be done and what cannot be done. So even if we now see actually what has happened in this era after delivering of this judgment, there has been a lot of fair criticism, not only of the judgment, the verdict it has come, but on the other side of it, there has been certain pro sides of the advocates who have been liking this judgment on the pretext that no one shall be allowed to disintegrate or to lower down or attempt to lower down any image of the Supreme Court of India, because it's the highest court of our country, and we should always put a respect and regard for the judgments followed by it. Definitely, we are of the opinion that the judgments which has been flown or come out from the Supreme Court of India, those are on the particular aspects of the facts and circumstances of the particular case. So no motive can be attributed to any judgment which has been delivered by the Honorable Supreme Court of India. The judges sitting in the Supreme Court or the Apex Court of India may always look at the point where there is any question of bias or something comes around, they always desist the matter, they recuse themselves while delivering in those judgments. So we always pay regard and heed to the Supreme Court of India, and while criticizing or while making some judgment, publicly tweeting about themselves or about the institution, we shall always make an endeavor that endeavor of ours do not hurt or scandalizes the image of the court. With this, I conclude this today's contempt of court analysis and provisions, short attempt by us to make you explain all that what all amounts to the contempt of court in view of the current judgment of the Prashant Bhushan's case. Thank you all. We'll come back with more such elaborative and further informative sessions on the particular case laws or the subjects. Thank you.